All right, Gabe. Um, you talked for an hour last time, like a month ago,
Uh,
and you brought up some good. You brought up some good stuff. You talked about the job you worked at Subway. Remember that?
bro, the Subway job, I didn't even hold it for, I didn't make the month. No, I didn't end up staying with it. Thought about it, but I didn't want to keep making sandwiches every day. I think my mistake was actually telling the manager I wanted like as much work as possible, because then she started just giving me like morning shifts and closing shifts. And closing shifts weren't bad, but I didn't like to just be the only one in the place at night. It got like very, very, very boring.
So what have you been up to recently?
Dude, nothing's been going on. Like, well, so COVID recession went on down here, and all it really is this quarantine. It's back at it again. Motherfuckers are supposed to stay inside, but no one really pays attention and cares. Um, but like time being, I haven't really had anything to do. I've just been sitting inside and waiting for some plans to come up. I don't know. Thanksgiving was alright though, because that at least gave me an opportunity to dress all slick, just eat some like turkey, and then that was pretty much it. That was like the highlight of the day.
I
Was
seen that.
was the dinner smoke sesh, the turkey,
Get a
and then
dinner smoke
passing the
sesh.
fuck out. Yeah. Oh no, not like with the family. Okay,
Oh.
it was just me planning ahead of time. Which you always gotta come prepared, man. G.
You know what I learned about COVID?
Hmm.
Ever since, like, a lot of stuff disappeared and whatnot, like normally talking to someone, like off
What?
your device or something. We
Right.
really took all those things for granted, huh?
Shit, I took them all for granted. I mean, I didn't realize it until I was actually in Vegas, and it was just me and like my brother, and I was like, all right, I genuinely don't know anyone. And I remember like the first thing I wanted to do to like actually meet people is I was like, I'm gonna get Tinder. Tinder.
I'm gonna get
I'll
Tinder.
find, I'll find some people on Tinder. I'll make it. I'll make it work. And sure enough, yeah, that
Or you
was
could
how
get
I went about it.
touched.
Hey man, I can't complain. It's statutory.
And
I
or go
I've
for
had
it.
some funny. I've had some funny Tinder meetups. It was mainly like it was one time where I didn't really plan ahead, but I hit up this chick, and surprisingly she just wanted to hang out that day, so I was all for it. So we planned to hang out later on that day, and whenever she comes to pick me up, first thing I notice is this bitch is definitely taller than me. Like I hopped in the car and I was like, all right, either her like seat is just super like high up, or she's definitely a lot taller than me. And I was wondering if she thought the same thing. And sure enough, when we hopped out, I was like, fuck, she's at least like 3 feet taller than me. You know, I underestimated that shit hella.
Was she a grown woman?
Yeah, she was. Let me see, 19 turning 20. If you want to consider that a grown, then I guess so. But I really consider 20. Anything past 20 is grown.
And what was, I guess, adding on to not knowing anyone here. Um, I guess being in Vegas was sort of tough because I remember last time you said that it felt like you were just
I
it felt
mean,
like you were
I think
homesick, right?
Yeah, yeah, of course. Well, I mean, that was the main thing is, it's always going to feel like you're homesick whenever you're in another state. But I think the main thing was whenever I was in Vegas, it was like, because I had lived out there before, and so whenever I'm moving right back, it wasn't bad because I was already planning on, how Vegas was going to be, but I wasn't even expecting how boring the quarantine would be. Like, I dead ass met nobody new other than like, at like the beginning of my vacation there, I actually came across this one guy at these Airbnbs we were staying at. They were just little apartments, but he like invited me to a little kickback they're having, and like the first week I was in Vegas, I got to go to a little party, and that was really it. After that, I didn't really meet anyone new. It was hard for me to really branch out too, because most of the kids were just inside. Nobody really would come out, so I was just kicking it inside most of the days.
And how's how's everything over there? Mostly the
I
same?
mean, okay, so other than the fact, yeah, I mean, quarantine shit's going on. Other than like it's not too major of a notice. Like you could barely tell, they went back into the whole quarantine because most of the people still go to the store in mass numbers. Most of the people still barely wear the mask until they get to the store. So it's like New Mexicans are careless, however you see it.
Yeah. I remember all that.
Yeah, I mean, most people don't really take it too serious, and there's not much to fear other than like someone coughing on you. Then you just smack them. Like at that point, it's
I think you're
really
entitled to
pointless,
smack them.
If someone like blatantly coughs on you or coughs near you, you might as well give them a good old open palm. It's only right, but yeah, no. I mean, I'm trying to think. I've never really came across someone who I was really like worried about them being sick because most of the time they'd get little, flu symptoms and they'd be like, "Oh no, I think I'm catching something," and then like a day or two later they're just fine, you know. Or like it'll get bad at first and then they'll get over it. Which at this point I just anyone who coughs is suspicious. I ain't gonna fuck with them like that.
mm, yeah, this kind of went a lot smoothly last time. I feel like I'm
It did.
struggling this time.
Oh, it's just I'm trying to think. No, honestly, it's just another conversation. I don't think it really. I think just the flow of the whole podcast, but
At
these things are
first,
supposed to roll off the tongue.
it's like every single podcast. At first, I'm always quick to jump to things, and whether I'm
You're
getting all
on
the
too.
information and whatnot.
Well, I'm trying because I tried to do a podcast once before, and I'm not gonna lie. The only way it ended up working out is because I was like, all right, I'm not gonna try so hard to keep it, perfect. I'm just gonna just talk normally like I would with the boys. And then after a minute, I kind of forgot, I was on the podcast and I got sidetracked. But
That happens a lot to me
that.
too. Like, at first, what goes through my head is, people are watching this or potentially gonna
Mhm.
watch this. I don't get a lot of views. I don't really care about that, but you know, at first, it's just the thought of people watching you and when that kind
Uh-huh.
of like scares me. But like, if the conversation could keeps going back and forth, I usually forget there's, I guess you can say, an audience.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the one thing is, I wonder how like the big podcasters like fucking well, I'm sure they get used to it after a while, but I'm sure they're always realizing, oh yeah, there's definitely gonna be viewers on this bitch. They have to have like that one self-conscious thought every so often, but it's not even like you can really touch them in controversial topics on a podcast.
I don't know if I'll edit things out. I guess that's the holy, holy thing about not going live.
Hmm.
But I sort of, since I get anxious, I sort of forgot why I even started this. So the whole purpose of interviewing you, Gabe,
uh,
was so I could get your ideals and I guess
we
your
can get this
uh,
on the table.
I guess your character out there. And whether it gets
Okay.
a lot of views or not, either one of us can come back and be like, "Oh yeah,
Just check it out.
yeah."
Alright, well, I mean, let me think. Ideals wise, I don't really got anything.
All right.
No, I
Oh,
had a funny thought the other day though. I forgot who the fuck. I was talking to some, one of those cringe-filled kids are like, communism is the way to go. And I thought about it for a second, and I was like, no, communism kind of falls through because, if you have a bunch of rich people, and so say you have a group of 10, 4 of them are rich, 6 of them are poor, and the 6 that are poor, they're poor because they're lazy. They're not poor because they just disadvantaged. They're poor because they're lazy. So the other 4, they're not gonna be willing to at least fucking pick up the slack on their part. So I think that's where it falls through. because most people would be like, nah, fuck that, I'm not gonna do that for them. They're not doing anything on their part. But fascism, fascism has the potential to work if you have like a smart, fucking charismatic leader. I don't know. Most of the time, you come across these Adolf Hitlers, and they start good, and then they fucking fall through because they make some dumbass decisions along the way. But that's usually how it plays out.
Kind of like genocide. Kind of like genocide.
Yeah. Well, genocide. The thing with that is, I don't know. Hitler went about it wrong. He wasted more resources killing that one specific group than he would have just fucking letting them starve. Which in half he let them starve and gassed them, but it was still a drawn out process.
This is the first time something like this has gotten controversial.
Yeah, well, you wanted flavor in the cast. What type of drinks do you like, man? Like, juices wise.
Juices wise,
You like an apple juice guy?
I'm an orange juice guy.
Mmm.
Well, I don't mind apple juice, but I like oranges better.
I haven't
And
had orange juice in a fucking minute.
I like oranges over apples. Definitely.
I feel like orange juice is a bit more refreshing than just a fucking cold glass of apple juice. But for some reason, it is a lot easier for me to like down a thing of apple cider or just in general apple juice can go pretty far. Like I think if I were to survive with just nothing but apple juice on an island, I can get by with that shit.
But if you survive nothing on orange juice, then you're gonna fuck up your stomach.
Oh yeah, the vitamin C against me for a bit.
And this is acid.
Acidity.
Yeah. Can't speak.
I don't know. Like, have you actually gotten like bad heartburn where you can feel that shit in your stomach?
Yeah.
Oh, not in your stomach. It's more your chest that you feel it.
Yeah.
But it like you can tell it's just from the acidic shit in your stomach.
Yeah.
That is like, fuck. I remember so many times and it was over like stupid stuff too. I remember one time, for breakfast, the thing was, orange juice. Orange juice to go to. But then for lunch, I was like, fuck it, green chili cheeseburger. And after that, I was like, you know what? I feel like going to fucking kickboxing sparring. So I went to kickboxing sparring. And that was like the worst fucking thing I could have come up with. I got like the worst heartburn. Like, first time I threw up, came out and I was like, alright, I feel better. But then, I still had like that burning sense in my chest. And I was like, fuck, this don't feel good. I'm all fucking tired. Fucking stomach hurts. After that, stop fucking around and stop eating green chili cheeseburgers before fucking gym.
That's one thing I miss over there is those green chili cheeseburgers.
Oh, yo, do they not have
Lotta
any
Burger?
green chili out there? No, I
Uh-uh.
know they don't have Burger out there, but do they not have any places where you can get green chili from?
Not that I think of. Every time my grandma mentions going to like Albuquerque is just for those green chilies.
So do you
Those
guys
like,
ever stack up on like Hatch green chili and then just come back?
yep. That is literally our only excuse for going like back. I mean, yeah, we got
Well,
family over there and there's friends I want to see, but my grandma's main purpose for going back is just the green chilies.
the shit, it's not like you can get it anywhere else. I thought that was like the weirdest thing too, is because around that time I started realizing, fuck, smoker's cough. I started realizing that you can get green chili cheeseburgers from McDonald's, and you can't get that out there in Vegas. And it sucks too, because I tried. I tried asking them. Tried asking them for green chili cheeseburger, and then tried asking them for strawberry pies. And they had the strawberry pies, which that was the redeeming factor of it all. But they had no fucking green chili cheeseburger. I don't know. These are weird little things you don't, or I guess you take for granted. Like, in Vegas, I didn't realize this, but yeah, I definitely enjoy the heat a lot more than the fucking cold. Or
Really?
it's like hand in hand. I don't like the I don't like stepping outside every morning to feel fucking cold. But like I know in Vegas, you step outside, it's only gonna be cold for the morning.
Hmm.
That shit heats up quick.
It's like we have all four seasons every day, all
Mm.
throughout the day.
Just fucking different cycles. But I mean, I never really like noticed how cold it can get out here until like it snowed randomly one day. When the fuck was it? It was like early October. No, I didn't even think it would snow, but it went from like raining to snowing to like heavy snow, and it was all just in one morning. It was like the weirdest fucking thing ever. Because Albuquerque, it will snow out here, but it won't stick. It'll like come and go. I think that's the one thing I like. Fucking hate the wind.
I
The,
hate the
the
wind.
wind is
Yeah,
like the wind was like the only thing that made that snow day shitty.
I hate wind, but when snow is absent from your life for like multiple years, yeah,
Hmm.
I don't know. I kind of grow to miss it.
Yeah, you do realize how much you do miss the little things, but I remember going to Vegas, dude, and like experiencing the first windy day out there. It's like a fucking blow dryer, dude. That's literally what it is. It's
Yeah.
fucking, and it's weird too because it'll hit you like hard as fuck in the face, and you'll feel how hot it is outside. And then you'll go inside, and you'll be like, damn, I'm definitely not leaving anytime soon.
How could
And then,
or go for it?
no, I was just gonna say how windy or cold does it actually get out there in the winter?
Mm, doesn't compare to out there in Albuquerque. I know that for sure. It
Oh, I
gets
figured.
like maybe like a low 40
Didn't it snow like the other year out there?
once. Yeah, out
Ah.
of in like 8 years. Yeah, it snowed like once, and it wasn't
Was it?
really snow. And we had a school day off anyway.
Oh well, gave you a reason to enjoy it more, I guess.
Uh, what was I gonna say? I guess how do you distinguish um I guess the meaning of home? Because they say there's a lot of there's the old saying
Mm.
that home is where the heart is, and you got your mom over here.
Hmm.
But how do you extinguish where I guess where home is?
Okay, that's hard. See, because when I was younger, the main thing I had to deal with was moving around a lot.
Hmm.
And it was first when we moved to Arizona. Arizona was the main thing. We moved out there when I was like what first grade, like right after I graduated kindergarten, and it wasn't bad because first few years of like my elementary were nice, but I like was instantly moving schools every year. It wasn't even like I was staying like at a school longer than a year. It was like I was bouncing from place to place. And, I lived
Hmm.
in some nice houses, but I also lived in some shitty houses. And so in the end, I wanted to at least get a stable spot in the long run, but like the closest thing I got was probably like I stayed out of school for like a year and a half, and like halfway through that year we ended up moving yet again. And so, but we moved back to Albuquerque. So that was like the only redeeming thing about it all is that we went back to Albuquerque.
Hmm.
Um, but I think that without without like a stable spot or a stable setup in your life, it'll always be hard to determine what is home. I always would just count it as like safe houses because I came out here and I started drifting. So the main thing was I started having to stay at friend's house like every 3 days. Like I'd switch from a friend's house to the next one, to the next one, and it was just so I didn't overstay my welcome. But before I knew it, oh wait, one second, I'm trying to blow this dude up with a grenade. All right. Anyway, before I knew it, oh, he's gonna get fucked up. I already pulled the pin. All right. Before I knew it though, I was actually realizing, it sucks not having like little places where you call home. Like the longest home I've lived in was about like 6 years. So we stayed at this one place, and it was weird because I didn't know how long eventually we'd end up staying in the house for. At first it was 1 year, then went to 2, then we ended up staying for like longer. Before I knew it, I just called that place home, and I liked it just because, I never got bored of the feeling. I never felt like, this was only temporary. It was nice for a bit. But, I mean, everything changes, and it's only natural in life to, deal with things like that. So,
Hmm.
before we knew it, we ended up moving out of that place, and I ended up, like, saying goodbye to it. But I remember, like, the funniest thing was I built a Minecraft world of it, and, like, I didn't realize it until, like, a few years later when I actually went back and got on my Xbox. But the fucking world is the shit, and it was pretty damn accurate for, like, me being 12, making a Minecraft world of my house.
Really got you really nostalgic.
Oh, yeah.
I remember Yubani saying that you went to the same elementary, right?
So, I'm trying to think. Giovanni went to Reginald Chavez, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think so.
No,
I can't really speak for him.
when I went to Reginald Chavez, I got right. It was when we came back from Vegas, or not Vegas, Arizona. That wasn't bad because, well, transitioning from a hot ass state to a fucking nice little, not Albuquerque, where Albuquerque will always be my home, I guess. In that context, I guess I can call this state home. But whenever I got back here, like I didn't know anyone again, so starting out and actually making new friends at that school it was a bit weird. But before I knew it, I had my little friend group. I didn't really notice Yabani too much until we got into middle school. Middle school is whenever like I had classes with him and I could fucking actually like hang out with Yabani. Beforehand, it was Yabani in the same class as me, but he had his other friends and I had mine. And I guess that's just how elementary always was. But man, Foursquare was the shit.
Foursquare was this shit. I remember that. We went to different elementary, but yeah, in my elementary school, it was the shit.
Bro, you do not know how competitive kids could get over that fucking game. The rules are like endless. You can come up with random shit and you wouldn't even know. But
Did you
I
get into a lot
remember.
of, or
What?
did you get into a lot of trouble at school? Cause I remember that whole like ordeal with the
With the rock
freaking
candy.
bad drug candy.
Okay. So fifth grade was really only the year where I got, I guess, in considerable trouble. Before that, it was like I hadn't really even been in much trouble. I got in trouble one time for drawing a dick on like what paper, but I didn't make it too noticeable of a dick. But I remember the teacher, found out, and they told I think they were trying to tell my mom, and I was like, no, I tried to draw rocket shit, but I'm just fucking bad at drawing, so it didn't come out too well. And I played it off like that, and, they believed me, somehow. The teacher didn't, but my parents did. They're like, oh yeah, it's just rocket shit. But, in fifth grade at Reginald Chavez, at least, that's whenever I actually got, like, my first suspension. And it was dumb too. Well, on my part, I was dumb because obviously I fucking walked into school with some raw candy in a little baggie, trying to be some stud, and it backfired on me entirely. Because I think I told my little brother, I showed him I brought the candy, and we went to the candy lady like the night before, so we had a bunch of candy and shit, and I was like, I'm gonna bring this to school and flex, that I have fucking meth candy. And I thought it would have been cool, but little did I know, my like brother, he started telling all his friends that, my brother brought drugs, and like I think his teacher like overheard, and it was like the worst fucking thing ever, because I mean, no, it was right after lunch or recess. I was going inside. My brother, though, he was talking to all his friends, and he had a big ass mouth, and I knew someone was gonna overhear him, but I was like, whatever. So he was telling all his friends that I had drugs, and his teacher, walked up to him and was like, "Who's your brother?" So before they knew it, they walked into my fucking classroom, and it was just, I knew what was up because it was her and my brother, and I was like, huh, you know.
Huh?
I was a bit curious, but they were, she had my brother point me out. My brother pointed me out, and then right away, they like pulled me into the hall, and then they asked me, to show them the candy, and show them the candy. Obviously, they didn't know because they're kind of dumb as shit what rock candy looked like, so. They believed it was actual drugs, and I was like, I don't know. I was like, whatever. I thought it wouldn't be a big old deal because honestly, I was like, they're gonna take it. That'll be it. I'll go back to class. That'll be the worst thing. They were just upset.
Oh, crap. Yeah, your mic cut out.
I like how it says you're creating a masterpiece. I click on your name. Share factory. Creating a masterpiece.
I have created a masterpiece, dog.
You know what? You're not lying though. This will go down in the books.
I try to make each podcast something to remember for.
Right. Oh yeah, that's the main thing. Is you gotta make them memorable in some aspect.
Even if it's just for an hour. Like, I know there's some parts I might cut out, but at the same time, it's not necessarily I guess a defect at all. I just
Okay.
I don't know.
No, I get what you mean, man. I'm curious. How did you come up with your name, Fonz the Stampede? Or yeah, I pronounced it right. Yeah.
Okay. Let me. How I came up with the name? Okay, you remember my name? Of course, you remember my old name, Majestic Shadow.
Yeah, Majestic Shadow.
I remember, everyone in the hallways, it was always Majestic Shadow, I'm your biggest fan. Will you sign my ass? Will you sign my pee-pee?
Bro, you were a little legend walking around the school.
I wasn't a little legend, I was a living meme.
I think it was funny though, because whenever everyone realized you were actually serious about YouTube, kids were like tuning in and shit. I was watching them in class. I didn't give a fuck. And this, who was it?
Mulder, Mr. Mulder?
Oh yeah, Mr. Mulder's class. That was like the go-to one to watch YouTube in. I think you only had like basic Rainbow Siege clips.
Yeah, it was very, very basic.
Yeah,
I remember,
well,
yeah.
I remember back then that was like your main content. It was just Siege.
I was, at first I just wanted, I was just starting out as like the most basic hobby ever until I started getting recognition from all the other kids. Cause I didn't want other, I guess people knowing in a way, just in a way. And I don't know. It was just all the attention. It was very unnecessary at the time, but I kind of, since it's been a long time, I sort of, I miss it because, I took it for granted, but it's alright. Fonz the Stampede, though, it was when I was very active in wrestling, and I wanted to not be the greatest. I know I was, with the very short time I'm in high school, I wasn't aiming to be the greatest, but I wanted to be, a one-man stampede, a humanoid typhoon.
You know what? That would have been actually a badass little wrestling name to have. Stampede.
And Fonz, I guess this is a little nickname my friends call me.
Yeah, Fonz is fitting from Fonzo, so I like that. I just
Alright, go for it.
High key, no, I was just laughing at the fact that we always do the thing where we were both about to talk, and then you go like, alright, no, your turn, go ahead. And then we both like go silent, and just waiting for one of us to talk first.
Well, I'm trying to get the most out of you, dog.
No, I got you, Chief.
Alright, but what were you saying?
We were on the topic of...
Wait.
Oh, so... I don't know, I was just curious, because most of my friends, I always ask them, well, my boxing buddies are a good example. I always ask them what they would want a fight name to be.
Wait, wait,
And
Gabe.
realistically, they don't have good content whenever it comes to like creativity, I guess. Every time I ask them, what would you want as a fight name, or what
Wait,
would be badass to have a fight name? Go
Gabe. Hold on, my grandma needs me. What? I wish to be no longer disturbed.
ahead. I wish to be no longer disturbed.
Oh, you heard that?
Yeah.
They needed a kid in the attic. I was the skinniest one.
Well, that's usually. How is your guys' attic? Is it like one of those that lead into a closet and it's just random as fuck? You have to like push the little board up and then crawl up there, or is it
Sort
like
of.
an actual pull down ladder
It's
to
one of those
the
pull down
entrance?
ladders.
Ah, I gotcha.
Yeah. They needed
Yeah,
stuff up there.
I gotcha. You guys have like a nice little house over there. At your grandma's?
Yeah. Uh, until I get my own house, I can't.
You
Uh,
can't complain.
yeah.
I get
So
what you mean, man.
I'm gonna have people coming in saying they need me and stuff like that.
That's funny. I just find it funny how you're like, my grandma needs me, and you took off and I could hear your grandma walking. Alex!
uh, yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, you were talking about fighting names and how your buddies.
Yeah, my buddies. Okay, so I had one friend named Sergio. Now, what's funny is Sergio is definitely like he's like the type just to be the clown, just to be the clown. Like he doesn't care. He'll say random shit just to get a laugh out. So, with that, it was funny whenever he decided to fucking when he decided to grow out a mullet. Because when he started to grow out a mullet, was whenever we really were like, holy fuck, he's not just joking. He's going full send. He's peaking. And so he went and grew a fucking mullet out, like long ass fucking mullet. And we started calling him Tornado because Homeboy's fucking mullet would just fucking fly around every time he do like spin kicks and shit. And he wouldn't care, man. His thing wouldn't get in his eyes, so as long as the party was in the back, he was fucking ready to go. But I remember like after that, I was really trying to like see what other people do whenever they come up with fight names, because like how do you just come up with that shit unless you're given a nickname? Then obviously how do you come up with your own nickname?
Yours is the Conqueror, right?
Yeah, but that was simple enough because I don't even know why. My mom was trying to pitch ideas for me to, for fight names, and the first one she came up with was like the Conquistador, which I thought about it. I was like, I don't know if I want to be fighting and representing the Conquistadors. Like I'm Spanish heritage, yeah, but it just didn't seem like a fitting fight name. It didn't sound right, at least for a fight name. So for a while longer, I was, trying to spitball ideas. I really wasn't coming up with much. I was like, all right, I'll go back to that idea. And the first thing I was thinking of was like, all right, well, what comes with fucking conquistadors? Conquest. And what comes with conquest? Conquering. So, in other words, it would be easier to conquer than just be a fucking conquistador. So I was like, all right, that's gonna be it, the conqueror. And I didn't have any doubt about it. After that, I was like, all right, it's either that or like something cheesy like the fucking Nightmare or the fucking like that. That's usually how boxers come up with their names, is just by trying to make something intimidating. Which the Conqueror is intimidating, but it's not like a stereotypical, cheesy name. Like there's so many times where you'll hear like, or watching boxing movies is a good example. There'll
Mm-hmm.
always be, one boxer trying to make his name, and he's fighting a bunch of, lower class boxers. But they have, like, basic fight names, like, fuck, let me see. I'm watching a bunch of boxing movies on fucking Netflix, and that's why I'm thinking of it.
Like
but like the
Slugger
bull, the
or
slugger. Actually, no, the slugger would actually kind of be unique. But make all these names that you would think of for like if you're wrestling or if you're naming a fantasy wrestler. Like
yeah.
that's whenever I draw the line when it comes to making a fight name. Is whenever you start to sound like a fantasy wrestler.
Why did you start out doing martial arts and whatnot?
It was funny, okay, because this was in middle school. Beforehand, like I always wanted to get into boxing was the main thing. Cause boxing, I started street fighting a lot when I got into middle school, and then like midway through middle school, I was like, all right, well, I'm at least better than the average kids when it comes to fighting. Like I can definitely beat up above average kids, and it wasn't bad because I didn't really know much other than basic street fight tactics. But at that point, I was like, all right, I kind of want to get into boxing, or I kind of want to get into MMA, and MMA seemed more ideal just because it was everything. Like
Yeah,
you want to
mixed martial
wrestle,
arts. Yeah.
yeah, that shit comes stacked. You'll know your arsenal if you actually take your time with it. So I was like, that's more realistic when it comes to street fighting, at least. And so I was like, all right, I'm at least gonna train, MMA. So that was my goal. But when I first started doing martial arts, I didn't really, I didn't look into it too much. So the first gym I signed up with was like they had MMA on their sign, but looking back at it now, I like completely signed up for a fucking Taekwondo dojo, and like I went along with it for so long where I was like, I got my own gi, I got a belt, a white belt, and then I got yellow belt, and then I got like yellow belt with 2 stripes, I think, and then I gave up because I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Yeah. Like I was realizing the
What the
ranks
fuck
in the
am I doing?
belt. I was realizing the ranks and the belts weren't justifying my skill set. Just because I was like, I was doing most of the shit, like how the instructors were, showing me. I would just practice it, even when I was at home. So all I was doing was training for fucking the gym. And whenever I would like get to a point where I had advanced, and I obviously can tell that I'm doing a lot better than the kids who are showing up like every so often, like come like 3 times a week instead of 5 times a week.
Hmm.
Like I was that guy trying to, just be the best. So at that point, I was like, fuck it, this gym isn't the one. I could tell it wasn't the one that was going to push me at least. So whenever I got the chance, I moved from that gym. And first thing I wanted to do was I wanted to try to go box out there in Vegas. So, the first thing I tried to go out there and train at the Mayweather gym, and I only trained there like twice before I really came back and started doing MMA instead of
Hmm.
Taekwondo. Because at that point, came back, I joined the MMA gym, and it was cool because it wasn't Jackson Wink, and Jackson Wink is like the main MMA gym you think of whenever it comes to like in the city of Albuquerque. If you're just some random person, you're like, oh, I know MMA, I've seen an MMA gym. You're probably gonna think of Jackson Wink just because of Holly Holmes and John Jones and stuff like that. But shit, dude, I remember like MMA was so much fun than just throwing fucking kicks. Like Taekwondo was obviously fun because I learned all the kicks I wanted to learn, but when I actually got into MMA, where it was like wrestling plus the kicks plus the punches, I was like, holy fuck! Like this is very, very interesting. Like I was driven to learn everything at that point. And so really, I was showing up fucking 5 days, 6 days a week, as much as I can, just so I could get as much as I can out of it. And I think like the smartest advice I could give whenever it comes to like progressing in something like that, where it's like MMA or boxing or even wrestling, it's all consistency. If you're like the type that'll go every other day, odds are you're gonna miss shit in between those days.
Hmm.
Even if it's little, you will miss shit. But if you're the type that goes there every fucking day, doesn't matter what day, your main plan is just to be there whenever that time comes, then most of the time you're gonna actually leave with like either fucking sharpen tools where you're just fucking like I remember I went to a class of jujitsu for like 1 week, and
Hmm.
it was only just jujitsu, so all I had to do was be there every day at 5, and man, that shit was so fun because I didn't know the submissions like arm bars and triangle chokes and stuff like that, but I wanted to learn them all, and so I spent like one whole week just fucking training, just grappling and submissions, and before I knew it, I went back to the teens class. We were doing grappling, and I was like perfect, and I was like fucking submitting motherfuckers. I almost choked a kid out that day because dumbass didn't want to tap. He got too prideful, and he was like choking himself. I was like, bro, just tap, just tap. But yeah, consistency fucking wins always. You can be the most skilled person in your sport, but if you're not consistent with your training, you're gonna get surpassed by the person who is.
Hmm. I think
And
90% of growth, when it comes to like martial arts and I guess sports of that nature, is just showing up.
mhm, yeah, I mean, you could have a bad day, but your day will end eventually. And as long as you're there, you're there. You know.
You know, how do you keep the right mindset when you uh, go to these things? Because as a teen, we have a lot of
Mhm.
expectations, and I know a lot of
Mhm.
people go out and do these things to, I guess, vent. I know a lot of people,
Mhm.
take out the frustrations in the sports that they do, but I guess what motivates you and gets through every single day of, uh,
Of this hard bullshit that I put
yeah,
myself through.
yeah,
I don't know, cause see, I have thought about that. I don't think I ever took up martial arts or anything as like a venting mechanism. Although, like, whenever it did come to the point where I was beating up kids just because I was like, fuck that kid, I don't like him. I was like, all right, I gotta let my ego die. And so I had to realize, yeah, I can be the biggest, baddest wolf at the fucking school, but it doesn't matter if I'm fucking, if I'm a dickhead. Like, it's not going to make me seem any cooler. So at that point, I had to like take a step back at least and disconnect from my ego, which is probably like the hardest thing you could do if you're like you're entering fucking high school, because
hmm,
obviously that's whenever you gain your ego and you're all confidence boosted just because you have social clout, which I
hmm,
didn't really care because I went to like the high school I went to, fucking, I knew no kids, and I really didn't give a fuck to meet any of the kids. So it was kind of easy for me just to sit there, not even talk to anyone. And then right after school, all my main thing was fucking training. So I didn't give a fuck about homework either. For that first year, no homework was being done. But like, I would make sure to be at the gym every day. Like, there's times where I started going to the gym before school at like fucking I would be up at 5:30 in the morning. We would train for all of 6, and then I'd get back at home around 7. I'd go to school at 8, and then I'd be at school till like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And after that, then go home, eat, and then go right back to the fucking gym at like 5 p.m. Because obviously, it was either that or just like at the time I really wasn't doing shit where my time was being used wisely. So I was like, fuck it. I'd rather go and work out and at least get some eventfulness in my day than just to fucking sit here at home and, play. Like, playing video games, I remember whenever that took over my life. And it was just because I wasn't skateboarding. I broke my leg. So I was like, fuck it. I can't focus on skateboarding, so I'm going to focus on video games. Video games is like my whole life for a fucking minute. And then whenever had to take a step back from video games because I was doing nothing but playing them and failing my classes, then that's whenever I had to pick up something new. And I felt that at least boxing was productive enough because I could waste all my time and energy towards that, but I'm still working out. I'm still getting some good use out of my time. And so I felt it was rewarding at least. And at least in the sense where, the things you put your effort into become rewarding, that's like the main thing I focus on. I don't fucking waste my time learning shit that I'm not gonna use. You know, if I'm gonna learn it, I want that shit to be fucking useful to me. And so that's kind of how I treat combat sports. You know, I don't train. I don't fucking put my body through all this fucking bullshit ass like hurt just because I wanna look good. It's mainly just because I want to get some progress out of it. I want to fucking progress whenever it comes to fighting skill, whenever it comes to, I guess, endurance, little things like that. And so that's the only reason I continue to put up with what I call bullshit. Which, I don't know, I like working out, but there are times where I will like get that clarity where I'm like, fuck, why am I working out so hard? Why the fuck why am I like continuing to do this? I could actually just like give up now and it wouldn't be so bad, but I try not to let that little voice in my mind take over, because that's just your self-conscious telling you to give up.
I remember I got that little voice like basically every day when I went to wrestling, and just I don't know why I never gave up. I mean, I wasn't really.
You were built for it. That's why.
I guess so. I mean, I always had the knack for fighting when I was little.
Mhm.
Even though I didn't know anything, I would always get into fights with my brother. I would always get into fights with other kids at the playground.
Do you remember Anthony?
Pardo?
Yeah, that retard.
Yeah.
Remember the first time he like introduced me to you, and he was like, I remember it was funny too, because I think back then all it was in his boxing, and he was like trying to really brag about me, but like he showed me you, and I was like, fuck, dude, if I were to fight this kid, he would whoop my ass. Like for some reason I was like, he has the weight, he has like the kicks, this is gonna be a bad matchup, and I thought that's exactly what he was trying to do, is match us up for a fight.
Nah. I remember you were still in your class. I mean, I don't remember talking to you before that, but I remember, I guess, knowing you before that. And I guess after you introduced us, I was like, you know what, this guy's pretty cool.
It was more casual then, because then I was like, alright, I know his name. I can at least say what's up to him. Most of the kids I had in that like same class, I'd see them across the call, and I just wouldn't know what the fuck their name was, but I knew of them.
It's crazy though, because in 6th grade I didn't know anything about you. I remember I went to Cliff's one day, and you were wearing some gold shoes. And
you seen me that day, I remember.
Yeah, it was on top of that like water slide thing. I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was on top of there.
Were you in line though?
Yeah, I was in line.
Okay, that makes more sense then. Because like I remember you telling me about that, that you see me at Cliff's and that, and I remember like just trying to think. I was like, fuck, that's so hard for me to remember, at least because he can see me, but I probably fucking walked on by and didn't even notice. So I was really trying to think, and whenever you mentioned the slides, I remembered that day entirely, where we got on the fucking slide. I almost fell off the fucking thing because I was like, oh, I'll get in the front. Fucking dumb idea. But what's your favorite ride at Cliffs, at least?
Ride?
Like some shit you could get on over and over again and probably wouldn't get too burnt out.
Probably either the fireball or that log ride.
Okay.
What about you? Or no, that one ride that spins and like rocks back and forth. I like that one.
The Sea Dragon. Oh wait, are you talking about the one at the entrance?
Yeah, that's pretty close to the entrance. Okay. It's blue.
Oh, dude, that thing made me throw up so many times.
Really?
Yeah.
I almost lost a shoe on that ride.
Oh yeah. I remember. It was funny though, cause alright, so ever since I was little, I've had motion sickness, and it was one of those things where I'd only notice it on like long ass car rides, on cruise ships, or Even on fucking what was it? Plane rides, not so much, but I definitely noticed that like amusement parks, and especially on shit that would spin. I couldn't deal with that. Like my stomach would instantly just give up on me. So I remember going to Cliffs like every year or every summer at least. I would like try to push myself to get on the spinning rides with everyone, and fuck, like I just couldn't keep up, dude. Like I'd throw up instantly. It'd take me like, if I were to get on like, so say show up to Cliffs, and like the first two rides are spinning, instantly my day is fucked up after that. Like I'm not even able to get on the Sea Dragon or anything. It's just it instantly goes to shit. So right away I try to avoid those rides in particular, so I never get on like the Musical Express. So that one fucks you up. I made the mistake of actually getting on that one time with like Woody. I went with Woody one year, and Woody was really trying to pressure me to get on like all the rides he wanted to get on. And at first I was like, I'm not getting on no spinning shit with you, Woody. And then Woody, Woody keeps fucking peer pressuring me.
Woody was being Woody.
Yeah, eventually I was like, you know what, whatever, I don't care. He's gonna see I fucking tell him I'm gonna throw up all over the fucking place. But hop on the Musical Express, and it wasn't bad going forward, but whenever they like stopped, I was like, oh, okay, good. I survived that, My stomach isn't all fucked up. It wasn't even that bad. I actually like this.
And then it went backwards.
Yeah, then it fucking goes backwards on you. And that shit like kicks up quick too, because then they'll be like, do you want it faster? You'll be like, faster! And so they'll fucking, boost it up even more. And I remember like just going backwards, I was like, oh, this shit, fuck. It sucked more than even like, it sucked more than the one that like right by the Cliffs entrance. I don't know what the fuck that ride is called, but that one would take me out in one ride. But the Musical Express just fucking, it didn't even give me like 30 seconds. I threw up right away.
Is there any way to overcome something like that, do you think? Or
motion sickness? It's hard, dude. Honestly, I haven't even fucking figured out what would like actually get you to get over it, because most of the time, dude, it's like anything. Whenever it comes to at least like throwing up by itself, I can get over that, because there's been hella times where like fucking boxing's a good example. I'll be sparring, I'll get hella either just exhausted just because I'm exerting all my energy, and sure enough, I get to that point where I feel like I need to throw up. Or I'll just get hit super hard in the gut and I'll need to feel like I throw up. So I'll go and I'll throw up, and like that 15 seconds is just shitty. Throwing up is always shitty, and it will always go down as being one of the shittiest things to have to deal with. But like when it's done, and you feel so much better at least. But that shit don't really like stick whenever it comes to spinning rides. Like you throw up, you're gonna feel like shit for the rest of the day. And I remember that's exactly how it felt like at Cliffs, because my main thing is I'd always get a funnel cake, and I'd always try to save the funnel cake till lunch, but I'd eat too much, and that would be my downfall. Always a bit too much funnel cake.
Okay. I guess one of the things I've learned from being I guess you say the quiet kid, is that I'm very, I guess you could say, collective. I hear things, I hear everything, I see everything.
Oh, you're observant.
I'm very observant, and I think I've always been like that since I guess middle school. I remember a lot of things.
Because you just sat there and fucking just looked at every little detail going on.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I remember just seeing you at the theme park in the first place.
Well, fuck, I remember, because that's how I agree. I did get a bit like that, where I was doing nothing but fucking sitting in the back of the class, just like literally I had no reason to talk to anybody, I had no reason to fucking do anything, so I would just sit there, wouldn't even like attempt to do any work, I would just pay attention to everything else. And you notice some funny shit in the background when no one's paying attention.
Yeah.
But I'm at Cliff's is funny though, because I've witnessed a lot of people like throwing up and shit. Obviously, there's those moments. But one time I did witness this dude fall off the fucking tube. Like, really fall off. Like, he fell off in the green, or it was black tube. He fell off in the black tube, and, like, you could see him come down out of the thing. He was on his back, all fucking soaked.
Oh, crap.
His friend was on the tube still, but he wasn't. Like, and I remember, like, I barely noticed that shit, because the train was, like, passing by, and I could just see him fucking slide out. But I don't know. There's funny little shit you can notice at amusement parks. I almost witnessed some kids step and throw up, but obviously people fucking realize what throw up is before they step in it. So dummy didn't even fucking take the bait. But I thought that would have been funny to watch someone just step in it and go look at their foot and be like, ew. It's fucking.
Yeah, we had I wouldn't say my middle school experience was all that bad. Despite being quiet, despite I guess having the whole world know I have a YouTube channel. To me, I feel like the whole world knew. Yeah, it was. Yeah. I think I missed that. I've missed that experience at least every day.
Yeah, that is I don't know. It sucks that most of the kids we went to middle school with don't really. Oh, at least the ones I remember. Like, what the fuck happened to Lorenzo?
A lot of things.
I figured a lot.
He dropped out of. Well, I'm not sure if I'm okay to say this, but because it's being out there, but. I remember he said he dropped out and whatnot. His family needed, help and whatnot, and so he like got a job. And yeah, I remember he said that he didn't really like found the need to talk to anyone from middle school because everyone changed. And in a way, I understand that.
Yeah, well, I do realize that how everyone changed from middle school. Mainly, you notice like the big friend groups become even bigger in high school. So, like my main thing was, I'm glad I didn't go to fucking Albuquerque High. I don't really know how many friends I would have had, but I think I would have had too many. But like fucking, I remember let me think. I remember most of my friends in like elementary, okay, because I knew all the kids that came from Reginald Chavez, and I knew all the kids that came from New Wallace. And so whenever we went to Washington, I got to see like all those kids reunite, and it was weird because I got to see all the fucking Reginald Chavez kids that I knew meet all the New Wallace kids, and they kind of just fucking formed into like friend group. Like
it was like
one of those things.
It was like an ambitious crossover.
Yeah, it was fucking weird though, because I noticed everyone, and I was like, huh, I wouldn't have guessed they, turned out as friends. And then the transition to high school was like, you had your friend groups from middle school, but then most of the people would either change halfway through the transition to high school, or
high school itself would change.
Yeah, and that was the main thing. I wish I went to a school where I knew kids, but the one where I went to, I knew fucking no one. So all the kids I knew, like, it was random kids from random parts of the city. Like, I knew some kid from a summer program I went to a few years ago, and then I knew this one girl I went to elementary with, but she got like super fat, and I was like, oh, she's just an annoying Cheeto girl now.
Oh crap.
That's all she became.
I guess oh, go for it.
Go ahead. You see the evolutions of the transitioning periods through school.
Yeah.